yes, the little chat box at the very bottom. Huge welcome to everybody today to our webinar on meeting the digital demands of universal credit. Again, if you can hear me, to all our lovely participants today, just type in a little yes into the text box for me. Right. Let's have a little look at you. I'm just going to keep chatting away, so if you guys can hear me, just type in yes. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay, gonna just keep chatting away, just so we can test the connection for everybody. Right, okay. Okay, we've had a couple of no's so far. Again, I'm just going to keep making sure that everybody can hear me and we're A-okay. Testing, testing. Okay. So I'm just going to wait for a couple more people are joining us, so I'm just going to keep chatting away. Right, okay. I can hear you. It's very quiet for us here. Okay. Right, okay. Maria. Web browser. And Maria. May not work on an open Wi-Fi connection. I can. Can everybody hear me? Still, if you've answered yes already, don't worry. I know you can still hear me. For those of you that couldn't before, let me know. That's perfect. I've got quite a few yeses now, which is great. Great. So I'm just going to wait just a little second more, and what we'll do is we'll get started. So I just wanted to say welcome and thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon to have a little look at the digital demands of universal credit. Perfect. We're okay for the sound now, Andrew. That's brilliant. So what I'll be doing, just so you all know, there are quite a few of you joining us today, which is absolutely brilliant. What I'll be doing is I am actually recording this webinar, so I'll be sending that out to everybody once we're done. So if you lose audio at all or you lose visual at all, let me know, pop it in the chat box, and what I can do is make sure you're all going to get the video anyway, but I can make sure if I can solve any problems now, I'll try my very best. Just to let you all know, I've got my lovely colleague Matthew with us today. He's going to be keeping a little eye on the chat box for me. So he's going to be having a little look there, and I'm not sure if Angela is in, but Angela's also having a little look at the chat box as well. If they can answer any questions throughout, then they will. If not, what I'll be doing is if there's quite a few questions that we've got, if we don't have time to answer them within our little hour, I'll collate it in an email and pop it all out to you later, so we've all got the resources. So as I've said, welcome. I do have just a little bit of housekeeping. It's nice and easy though. So like I've said, use that chat box to communicate with myself and Matthew and Angela there. Feel free as well if you wanted to tweet us. So our project Twitter handle is @DC_Wales. And my Twitter for the project is Laura PDCW. Get in touch, let us know what you've thought of today, any ideas that you've got for sort of for how you guys in the almost real world have gotten around the digital demands of universal credit. We'd really love to hear your on the ground advice, really. We've only got one little video to watch today, and I have got a couple of little questions that I'll be asking. So the more involved you guys are, the more everyone will get out of it. So yeah, those are my only little bits of housekeeping. And like I said, we're here today to have a little chat about meeting the digital demands of universal credit. And with this session, we have only got two very basic aims. I've tried to keep it as sort of easy going as I can. I know this is a pretty heavy subject, and it's sometimes very emotive with a lot of the clients that you're supporting. But today we are going to look at the two different sections. We're going to have a little look at the digital skills that people need to apply for universal credit, and then second part of the session is going to be digital solutions for managing money. And that's when we're going to have a little bit of a look at sort of financial inclusion and how we can make sure that we're not leaving people high and dry, because it's all well and good us talking to people about sort of getting online and filling out the universal credit form and doing all of the verify stuff. But it's really important that we make sure that they've got the skills to progress and make sure that they're getting the most out of the digital tools and the most out of their money, really. So as I've written on this screen as well, the two different skills will be different dependent on the clients that you've got. You might have some clients that are perfectly happy to fill out a form and apply for universal credit on their own, and they're pretty savvy as far as that's concerned, but they might need a little bit of help sort of managing their money and knowing where to go to and using digital tools to assist in their money management. Or you might have people that have never been online before, and they might need the really basic hand-holding digital skills to even apply for universal credit. So the one thing I did want to say to all of you here today, and this is probably something that you're all very aware of anyway, but it's about managing the expectations of the people that you're helping. Because unless you work in the job centre, I'm not sure if we've got any job centre staff in today, but unless you work in a job centre, you're not going to be universal credit pros. You might know roughly how to use it, but that's just the experience that you've got from sort of having a little search online for how to use universal credit. With people might have some issues with verifying their identity and things like that. Refer them back to the job centre, because that's something that's a little bit more complex. And for those of you that are working in different sectors, you might not have the time to be able to sit with people for 3 or 4 hours while they're filling out this sort of thing. So it's definitely a matter of managing people's expectations, and signposting them to the best place as well is key. So we've got a massive resource pack that I'm going to be sending out to you guys later, along with the recording that we're making today. In that resource pack, we've got loads of really handy websites, not only for you guys, but for the people that you're eventually going to be supporting. So there's things on there on sort of how to get online if you've never used a computer before, from the very basic stuff to the more complex sort of how to manage your money month on month situation. So yeah, those are our little aims today. And what we're going to do is just have a little bit of a talk about sort of government services, really. Because as you all know, we're all here for a reason, and it's to talk about the changes that are happening now. And like you can see on your screens there, government services such as benefit claims, universal credit, passport applications, car tax, and self-assessment are all moving to digital by default. The reason for that is it's quicker and it's cheaper to do it online. So that's one of the main reasons that we've got this drive here to get people online. Because as it stands at the moment in Wales, and a lot of the facts and figures that I've got for you guys today are fairly Welsh-centric. Because that's what we do as a project, really. We focus on getting people online in Wales. And at the moment, it's around 15% of the population, which is just over 365,000 adults in Wales that are currently digitally excluded. So it's really important that we help those people, because a majority of those people are currently digitally excluded. They tend to either be older, or they might not have full-time work. They might not they might be in like a lower paid job, so they've never had to use the internet for anything before. But with these benefit changes, especially if people have got housing benefits, child benefits, they might be employed, but they've never had to apply for their benefits online before. And with these changes that are happening, people need to have the skills to be able to get online and do it safely and do it really well. Herman, absolutely right. I did my passport September last year. It took me about 20 minutes, if that, and it came within about 4 weeks. So yeah, definitely doing things online is really, really simple, but that's because we're all digitally included. So I can't imagine not doing my car tax online. I don't have to have a little reminder on my calendar anymore. I just get a letter, I go online, and it's all done for me. So yeah, making things easier is something that's happening, but it is happening in a very sort of digital focus. So so that's why we need to help people that are digitally excluded. And like I said earlier, the more in-depth support with the universal credit forms and Verify, like I said, refer those back to the job centre. They're the experts. So for those of us that are working in housing associations or charities or colleges, universities, that sort of thing, we can help with the more holistic skills. But we need those experts in the field to be able to help us out really. So always, if it gets too much, or you don't know the answers to questions, just refer them back to the experts really. So as you all probably know, for those of you that have dealt with universal credit, Verify is one of the hardest parts about it. And that's just being able to verify your identity essentially online. And for some people that are digitally excluded at the moment, they might not have a passport or a driving license that they can verify themselves with. So that can be where the sort of difficulties come from. So definitely refer back to the job centre, and they can help out your clients from there as well. So we need to look at the wider impacts that are going to occur from sort of universal credit changes and sort of reforms in that manner. Because like I said a moment ago, it's all well and good us making sure that we can get people to verify themselves and fill out forms. But if they're not managing their money correctly and they're all of a sudden getting a lump sum of cash instead of their housing benefits and their child benefits and maybe disability allowances in different figures, maybe week 1 and 3 they get certain benefits and then 2 and 4 they get other benefits, it can be really difficult for people. And it can add a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to people where it's really not necessary. So we're going to have a little look at like I said, the wider financial impact on universal credit as well. So as you all know, universal credit is combining pretty much all of the sort of common benefits that exist at the moment. So you've got income-based job seekers allowance, employment support, income support, child tax credits, if I get my words out, and then you've got working tax credit and housing benefits. So that's just a small list of the current sort of benefits that will be changing over the next, I believe it's going to be the next 18 months to sort of 4 years. I think the final sort of everyone will be moved over. So because we're in Wales, we've got a little idea of when a lot of people are going to be moving over to the full service. And we've got sort of Cardiff. I think Cardiff and the Vale have either just switched over now or they're due to switch over in March. We've got Denbigh in April. In June, it's going to be Bridgend and Carmarthen. And then later on in the year, we've got Rhondda and Taff, we've got Caerphilly. So a lot of these sort of areas are sort of moving over little by little. And the aim is to get everybody on universal credit by the end of March 2022. And I know that probably sounds like it's really far away, but considering we're in March already, I think you could all agree that it's going to come up really quickly. And as long as we can make sure that we're all ready for it, then it'll be ducks to water, fingers crossed. Oh, perfect. So yeah, what have we got? We've got February 28th was Cardiff and the Vale, and then we've got Merthyr Tydfil is in June. So yeah, it's going to affect different people in different areas at different times. So it's definitely worth keeping a little eye out on your local area. The government website is, I don't think it's been updated in a little while, but there are a couple of websites where it's got sort of the up to date list of when the different areas are going on board, because I know there's been a little bit of an issue in some of the areas. So yeah, what I want you guys to do now is have a little think of the tools or the skills that people will need to be able to manage their universal credit forms online or manage their money online. Pop your answers in the little text box, and have a little think about the sort of digitally specific tools that people will need.
Universal Credit's full service can be found on gov.uk. You can use it on any internet-enabled device, and it will look and feel the same regardless of what device you use. Before you open an account and make a claim for Universal Credit, you'll need to have an email address, mobile number, and a bank building society or credit union account. We also recommend getting all your personal details together before you start your claim, such as any photo ID, rent costs, wages, and child and partner details. You'll be asked a few questions first about where you live and if you have any children to ensure you're claiming the right benefit for you. If Universal Credit is not the right benefit for you, you'll see other potential options available and can follow the links for more information.
Okay, so that was just a really quick video. What I'll do, Alison, is I'll be sending the link to the YouTube channel out to everybody. So you'll have that. Don't worry. There's also on this YouTube channel that I've been sent is really handy. There's a nice sort of, I think it's a 12 or 13-minute video, which is obviously quite a long time to watch a YouTube video, but it's got loads of really handy stuff on how to use Universal Credit. But what the the .gov.uk YouTube channel has done is they've broken it down into those little 1-minute videos, which is really handy, because if you've got somebody so far and then you get stuck at a stage and you think, I don't know how else to explain this, or I'm not entirely sure what step to take next, it's nice because you can find out what the advice is on the direct gov.uk sort of channels from there, really. So if you imagine sort of the stuff that we've discussed, a lot of the skills that you need to be able to start or set up a Universal Credit profile is a lot of the stuff that you need to do when you're setting up social media accounts. So when you set up social media, you've got to be able to fill out your full name, email address, potentially a phone number. You've got to be able to upload maybe an image as a profile picture. If you consider things like Twitter and Facebook, you've got to sort of, it gives you the opportunity to write a little bio about yourself. And so you've got to have those sort of basic skills there. So it's if you put it in that way, rather than saying there's this big scary thing called Universal Credit for your clients, it's nice to be able to say, right, okay, this is as easy as setting up a Facebook account. Granted, it might take a little bit longer, obviously, with all the verify stuff, but the skills that you use when you set up a Facebook account are exactly the same as those skills that you need to fill out a Universal Credit form and initially apply for it. So other things like that video said that you might potentially need would be things like a rent agreement, details of income or benefits or partners that you might live with. All of that stuff is really handy to have right at the beginning. Because if you can make sure that your clients have it with them when they first start to set it up, if they don't need it, that's fine, they've still got it. But if you get 20 minutes through helping them fill out a Universal Credit form and it turns out they've left their tenancy agreement in the house and they're sitting in their office with you, then you have to stop that there. So it's really, really handy to just make sure that you sort of hit home that having all of this information in sort of one place is really, really helpful. So with the clients that you help out, obviously a couple of us have mentioned things like connections and not having the devices to be able to get online. Are there any other sort of barriers that you can think of that your clients might have with regards to the skills and the tools that we've discussed? Are there any other barriers that you can think of? Yeah, perfect. So not having a photo ID, and I think I mentioned that earlier. Definitely, if you know your clients don't have cars, they've never had a car, they've never passed a driving test, or they've never travelled out the country, they're not going to have a passport or a driving license. So not having a photo ID can be a really big stumbling block for a lot of people. Yeah, some people don't have bills in their name, and I know I experienced that when I moved house back in June. I realised that all of our sort of because me and my husband have got a joint bank account, so everything was under my maiden name, and then I was trying to apply for things under my married name, and I had a little bit of an issue, and it's sort of I didn't have any confirmations of bills that were in my name. So it did make things more difficult, absolutely. Any others, with your area in mind as well, with the types of clients that you help out, are there any other sort of barriers that you specifically face? Yes, perfect, Matthew. Absolutely. So the .gov website is really handy. It gives you almost like a little checklist for the information that they'll need before they apply for universal credit. Again, some people might need that sort of reinforcing face to face because they'll think, oh, this isn't something that I personally need. But yeah, definitely reinforce that the .gov website is really handy for things like that. Yeah, a lot of bills and statements are online, and people won't have access to an online bill or statement, and even situations where they might not have a printer in their house. So they might have their online bills, but they've got no way to be able to print it and bring it in. And maybe if you dependent on the sort of security in the office that you work in, they might not be able to log into their own emails where they are. So yeah, it's some really, really great ideas, and it is just a matter of getting over those barriers as they come, to be perfectly honest. It's going to be different for every single person that you help, and like I said earlier, nobody is expecting you to be a universal credit pro. It's just helping people out and being a supportive sort of person for people to deal with is really, really handy, because they're being given this situation where they've got to get online and manage their own money, and sometimes all they need is just a friendly face to say you're doing the right thing, carry on. So building confidence is something that we're going to need to work on with again quite a lot of the people that we're helping, and building confidence can be something really, really easy to do, because like I said, a lot of these people are being told they have to go onto universal credit. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe it's they're not comfortable managing their own money and things like that. So or they could be a little bit concerned about their private data being online. So they might not have an email address, might not have the typing skills or the literacy skills to get online. But breaking things down into little, almost bite-sized chunks is really, really great, because it gives you the opportunity to watch them grow and develop as sort of digitally included members of the public, really. So you can do things like, first of all, help them set up an email account. That's something that can be done fairly quickly and fairly painlessly. And then what you could do is, when it comes to learning how to upload and download things, is get them to share images or upload a file onto their email and send it to somebody, or using web searches for things that they really love doing. So you might have some clients that really love fishing or crafts and things like that, using a Google search, and obviously other search engines are available, but using sort of search engines to your benefit and showing them different things online is really great, because it gets them away from having to focus on the sort of thing that they're being told they have to do, but they're still gaining the skills to be able to complete that task at the end. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Herman, for popping that little link in there. So that's really wonderful. What I'll be doing is sending out all of the links to everybody. So if you didn't want to click onto them now, you can have a little play with them later. With Google, it's the information can be written, visual. It can be in language that people understand if they're not first language English. It can be audio, visual. Google's nice and easy to look at as well. The background's white, the colour's nice and bright, and it is much less daunting than having to go straight onto the .gov website and apply for universal credit straight away. So finding simple, fun activities, they can really boost confidence, and they can make people want to get online as well. So it's always worth considering the different things that you can do online. So I just wanted to show you guys, and some of you may or may not have seen this, but it's the Go On UK Basic Digital Skills Framework. And I really love this because it is a really, really great way for us to be able to make people understand that they are improving, Because especially when we're, if you think of the stuff that you do online, you probably don't think twice about a lot of the stuff that you're doing. But for people that are learning, they probably think, oh, there's too much to get online and do. And it's, how am I going to make sure that I know how to do everything? And the key thing about the framework is that it doesn't focus on the sort of specifics that people have to do to get online. It's very case by case. It gives people the opportunity to do things that they love to do online. Just to let you know that the framework is under a little bit of potential change at the moment. So Go On UK are doing, they're asking sort of their clients and members of the public to have their opinion on what they think of it. So I'll send you the link again in the resource pack to the Go On UK website. There's lots of information on there, because what they're considering doing at the moment is splitting it. So the stuff that you're looking at on your screen at the moment, this would turn into the Go On UK personal basic digital skills framework. And then they're considering developing another one for the world of work. Because I don't know about you guys, but I use the internet in two very different ways when I'm in work as opposed to when I'm at home. And some of the skills that I use in work, I barely ever do at home, and vice versa. So Andrew, I absolutely agree. My favourite part of this framework is the problem solving. So I'll go through all 5 of them. So what we've got here, we've got managing information is our first one, and that's being able to find, manage and store digital information and content. And that would be things like using a search engine to find information you need. And I bet you've all done that 100 times today, having a look on Google or Bing and things like that for answers to questions. Searching for deals on comparison websites or being able to bookmark things. It's little basic things like that you think, oh yeah, I don't consider that, but it is a very important basic digital skill. The next one then is being able to communicate, interact, collaborate and share with others. And that's keeping in touch by email, instant messaging, video calls and social media, which is another one. What we've got then is transacting, and this transacting one tends to be one that people avoid. Because people are scared of doing banking online or putting their financial information on the internet. And as long as people are safe while they're doing it, there's no problem to it. But the fear is there, and that can be a big barrier for a lot of people. So transacting, we've got purchasing and selling goods and services, organising your finances and using digital government services such as universal credit. For that, I tend to ask my clients, have you online banked? Have you gone online shopping? Or do you manage your universal credit account online? And that can be a really nice way to get people to understand that they are doing financial stuff online, but it's not as scary as it sounds that you hear all of these scare stories in the news and things. And then problem solving, mine and Andrew's favourite one. So we've got an increased independence and confidence by solving problems and finding solutions. And the example that I normally give here is, have you ever taught yourself how to fix something in the offline world using, say, YouTube or a tutorial in bullet points maybe on the internet? And it's something that a lot of people do, again, but they don't consider that they're problem solving online. So, for example, I managed to repressurize a boiler using just a video of a plumber doing it on YouTube. So I had a little search online, discovered the issue, repressurized my boiler, and it saved me having to call a plumber out. There you go. Yep. So with the snow and the cold weather and everything, absolutely, Andrew. You've done the same as me, just sort of trying to fix your boiler and deal with all those issues and things. Yep, Angela. It seems like we're all in the same boat then, really. So creating is the very last one, and that's creating basic digital content in order to engage with digital communities and organisations. And I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves when it comes to the creating side of it. They think, oh, well, I can't make a YouTube video, or I can't design a website, and I can't do these things. But as you'll see there, the actions and examples for individuals is doing something as simple as creating a social media post or writing a CV in a Word document. Easy things like that can really, really boost people's confidence. And what you'll notice about this middle section here And this is why I love this framework so much. Is because safety is the absolute paramount with this framework, and that's something that we need to make sure that obviously your clients are understanding, making sure they're staying safe online. And there's a really great website that I discovered this morning actually that gives you some really great tips on what not to do specifically when it comes to universal credit. Because I know a lot of people will be concerned that they're like, well, how are the government going to get in touch with me? Or should I click onto this link on this email and that sort of thing? But there's a really great website, again, that I'll send you guys the link to, that expresses how the government get in touch with you and how the emails look. So you know you can pass that on to your clients and they can make sure they're staying as safe as they can online. So my top tips for digital inclusion would be to find local services, such as libraries. There's a couple of websites that I'm going to refer you guys to as well, which offer digital help and access to equipment. So we as a project, we do things like kit hire. We can get you in contact with different people to be able to make those local services more obvious to you if you need them. So get in touch if you needed any assistance with sort of signposting people to different digital Fridays and things like that in libraries. Using a varied resource to explain what's going on basically, because obviously with some of the people that you're going to be helping, they might learn in different ways. So I'd much rather sit and watch a YouTube video or watch something happen in order to fix a problem or find out how to do something than I would have to read a 2 or 3 page document. That's probably my attention span. But if you have got people that have got dyslexia or they really struggle with reading things on a computer screen or anything like that, videos can really help. And it's just a matter of having that sort of in your back pocket to be able to say to people, right, well, we're having trouble reading that, so let's watch a little video on it instead. And remember to teach basic safety tips, especially around keeping data safe online. So that's what I was saying earlier about the Go On UK framework. It's intertwined with safety involved, and it's exactly the same when we're helping people online as well. I've made sure again on the resource pack that I'm going to send out to you guys that there are safety information. There is safety information rather in there, so feel free to use that. And if I can help with any advice at all, just let me know. All of my details will be in the email that I'll send out to you guys later. So dependent on the area that everybody's working in, local sort of libraries or community hubs and things like that will offer different things for people that are digitally excluded at the moment. So if you don't have time to help somebody through setting up an email or getting them to learn how to use a keyboard or a mouse, it might be worth passing them on to the libraries where they can go to Digital Fridays, or, and this is something I wanted to show you, get them to have a look at a little bit of online learning. And I know that's probably comes once you've taught them how to get online in the first instance. But here's just a couple of little examples of websites that are absolutely wonderful for getting people online originally. So we've got Learn My Way. It's an online learning website provided by the Good Things Foundation, and it's designed to make getting online easy. It's perfect for those without basic digital skills or people that are looking to improve their existing digital knowledge. Then you've got Digital Unite, which works in pretty much the same way. The nice thing about Digital Unite is you've got the online learning, but you've also got an absolutely huge resource of free online technology guides. There's computer tutors, there's courses, and there's also a way that you can join in with a community of other learners as well, and get sort of advice and feedback from other learners that you've are going through the same things as your clients, or even you as people that support end users to get online. And then Digital Eagles, that's something that Barclays have come up with, and Digital Eagles are there to help provide practical and helpful advice. There's online courses again, and just getting a good idea about sort of what is out there and what exists. But those are my sort of my top 3 that I recommend for people. And again, find out. We've got quite a lot of information. So Matthew and Angela, there are digital inclusion advisors for the Southeast area. They're, like I said, they're helping me today. We have got advisors in ranging across the UK, so we're not just based in the Southeast, but they've got lots of information on sort of community venues and libraries and when they offer things, so Digital Fridays and things like that. So get in touch and ask, really, because we've got all this information that we're just waiting to get rid of, really. So as I've mentioned, we're splitting the session into sort of two parts. And like I said earlier, getting signed up for Universal Credit is just the beginning. Many people who are digitally excluded don't have the skills to be able to get online and find cheaper goods or services. And in this next little section, we're going to have a look at some of the great resources of information online that can really help people manage their money. Because like I said, a lot of people have gotten really used to having housing benefits paid to them, say, once every 4 weeks. That's going to change now, and they're going to get their housing benefits, potentially child tax credit, and all sorts of other benefits rolled into one, and they have to manage that money themselves. So they're going to have to start paying their landlords themselves or their housing associations, and it's about managing that money and making sure that you've got enough left in your pot so you're not struggling at the end of the month. So I've got a couple of facts and figures here from Lloyds did a study back in 2017, so it's the back end of last year, and 16.2 million people in the UK have low financial capability. Then we've got 9.2 million people in the UK have low digital capacity. And then if you combine those two, there are 3.1 million people in the UK who have both low digital and financial capability, which is absolutely a massive number of people. So if we can give people the tools to be able to get online safely, give them advice on how to best manage their money, then they're only going to benefit from that. And like I said, in Wales specifically, that number is about 15% of the population, which is just over 350,000 Welsh adults. So being digitally and financially savvy means that you can start what's called jam jarring, and I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this, but it's when you have more than one bank account, basically. So you do different things with those different accounts. So I do this, and I've got my bank account that my wages get paid into, and then I've got my joint bank account with my husband, and then we've got 2 different savings accounts that come off there, so we know that we're sort of pooling all of our money. And this is an absolutely massive ask for people that are having their benefits changed. So not only are we saying, right, okay, we're going to change your benefits and you're going to get everything in one lump sum, but it might be a good idea to know how to move that money round, and sort of it can sort of escalate and they'll feel like they're spinning plates. But once they do get a little bit more financially savvy and digitally savvy, then jam jarring is a really good thing to do, because it just means that you know exactly how much money you've moved £500 into a different bank account, so you know that's just for rent, and that money's been dealt with then, and it just gives you that foresight to be able to deal with it a little bit easier, really. So my question for you guys, and again, jam jarring is future stuff, but it's something to consider. How much do you think that people can save per year from just being online? So that's going to be sort of comparison websites, places like Groupon. Oh, perfect. So Alison, you do something that my husband does all the time. He's obsessed with his little Excel spreadsheet to find out how much money we've got. Absolutely. And that's a really, really easy way to do it. So if you didn't want to get people to open up different bank accounts, just having a little Excel spreadsheet or a little document where it says, right, rent is 500, X, Y, and Z is this much, this is how much I get in, this is how much comes out. And being able to be digitally resilient is really, really important. So how much do you think that people can save from being online? So 400 to 700, good, really good guess, actually. Any other guesses on that for how much we think we can save from being able to access sort of voucher codes on websites, or being able to have a look at different insurances or credit card offers and things like that? What do you think we can save? I'll give you a minute or so to write your answers down. Just a guess. Perfect. 560 per household. That's a really, really good guess. So 400 to 700 we've got. 500, yeah, yeah. So I think it's about we've all agreed the sort of average is about £500. Let's have a look. Yes, so absolutely, Alison. It depends on where your income is. So the social housing is about £300, definitely. You've hit the nail right on the head there, Alison. Because when I went on to the Lloyd study that I keep referring back to, I'll send you out the PDF for that. It's a wonderful study, and I could honestly talk about it for hours on end. So £444 is the annual saving, the amount that people can save using discount codes, cashback websites, and those sorts of things. And that, according to the Lloyd's website, is an average, whether you're earning more money or less money. So the low, obviously lower income, the savings might be slightly less because there's not as much sort of disposable income and things like that. But yeah, for £444, if I consider sort of the way that I manage my money, that's a huge amount of money. And both me and my husband are employed full time. So you can imagine it would be an absolute lifeline for people that aren't online, that are having their benefits changed, they maybe don't have full-time employment. That £444 spread over the year could mean the world to them, really. So yeah, there's about a third of people who couldn't manage their money if, say, you lost your job. So Lloyds did a study and they said to a wide range of people, if you lost your job and you lost your regular income, how long could you survive without it? And 30%, so nearly a third of those people, said that they couldn't manage for more than a month without having that. And at 15% of those people, so half of those people that said that they couldn't even survive, over a month, they'd struggle immediately, which is a really scary figure if you think that 15% of, that's about 7.4 million people in the UK would struggle within a month of maybe losing their job, redundancy, and people like that. How would you advise that discounted cashback websites are legit? Sarah, what I'll do is I'll put information on that on the email that I send out, if that's okay. Just again, I could talk about that for hours on end. But yeah, it's broadly in line with the 16.2 million that have low financial capability that are going to be worse off if they don't have good financial resilience, basically. For low income, so I've said about 30% of the population would struggle within the first 1 to 2 months. For low income households, that rises to just under 50%. So that's 48% of the population who are on lower income that would struggle within days or weeks of losing their job. So making sure that people are financially resilient is super important, and it's, again, with all of these changes that are happening with universal credit, it's really important that we consider that people do need to be more digitally resilient. Okay, yeah, so absolutely, Alison, the guidelines, definitely you should have about 3 to 6 months behind you, and that's easier said than done. I mean, for a lot of people, and I mean, I count myself as one of these people. I live paycheck to paycheck. So my money comes in from my job, and I pretty much spend it all. So whether it goes into sort of my rent and my bills. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I pay more money than I need to into my joint bank account, so I've got a little bit of a buffer. But as far as my sort of personal bank account goes, every month it's sort of, this is how I live. It is very difficult. And having that changing, and especially for a lot of people that have moved over onto universal credit, they're not getting their money for sometimes 6 to 8 weeks at a time. And that can be really, really difficult for a lot of people. So making sure that people know how to manage their money efficiently, and using those online tools to be able to do it is really, really important. So our financial inclusion top tips are budget, budget, budget. And as Alison said, having some sort of spreadsheet or having some sort of document to be able to budget is absolutely brilliant. Oh, perfect. So Andrew, Plum or Clio. So take a small amount of savings from your bank account, and that goes into a little pot of its own, which is perfect. It's almost out of sight, out of mind situation there. But being able to budget and do that sort of thing is really important. Dealing with debt and speaking to maybe sort of citizens advice, and there's websites that I'm going to talk to you guys about, so Money Made Clear and Turn to Us, and things like that are really handy for dealing with debt. There you go. Also, many credit unions offer jam jar accounts, which takes the pressure off people as well from being able to do it themselves. Open a bank account is one of the first ones, because having a bank account is really important, because you don't have a credit score really until you've got a bank account, or until you start sort of using money in an electronic way really. And understanding rent is really, really important, because the last thing all of us want from the changes in sort of benefits with the increase in universal credit and the changes that are happening there, we don't want people to be able to not understand their rent and potentially be made sort of homeless from it, or rack up months and months worth of sort of rental arrears, because they don't understand how their rent's been paid previously, because it's all been taken care of with their housing benefits. So understanding the rent and sort of when you get paid, and maybe the time difference between when the universal credit comes in and when your rent is due, is really, really important, so you don't sort of pay out too much money that you don't have. Absolutely, you may need to be on the electoral register to get a better credit score. Yeah. What if people aren't able to get a bank account? With that, Sarah, it would depend entirely on the individual, I think. So credit unions and things like that might be an alternative, but a lot of banks may offer a very risk-free bank account, shall I say? So there's information about that on this next lovely screen. So good question, Sarah. You've taken us perfectly onto what is out there. So like I said earlier, a lot of people have got different circumstances. They might not have ever had a bank account, they might have really poor credit, they've been in debt, and they might not be able to open bank accounts and things. I've got 3 examples here, again, like with the digital inclusion top tips. These are just 3 examples. There are many more that are on the resource pack that I'm going to send out to you. So Turn to Us is a national charity that helps people in financial hardship to gain access to sort of welfare benefits, charitable grants and support services. So they're available online, by phone and face-to-face, and they also have a lot of volunteers that are very, very good at sort of helping out with sort of financial hardship and things like that. The Money Made Clear website, it's a Welsh Government funded, free and easy to use website about money, and it's information about managing your money better and where to get support should things go badly. So obviously people being in control of their money, maybe for the first time ever, there might be some hurdles that they'll need to get over. So the Money Made Clear website is absolutely brilliant. And then the last one that we've got on here is the Money Advice Service, and that's again another website very similar to the Money Made Clear website, helps you manage your money better. So there's a really great money health check tool on there. There's different calculators for benefits and wages. There's comparison tables, and it helps you make the most out of your finances. The Money Advice Service is totally free and totally impartial, and it's using those sort of tools to be able to include yourself financially is really, really important. Oh, perfect, Matthew. So banks are obliged to offer basic bank accounts these days. So it's worth sort of, again, using the internet, having a little shop around with your clients or or sort of recommending them to have a little shop around online. So digital and financial inclusion, they very much go hand in hand. And so, you know, one exists without the other, but they do work together really, really well. And once you're digitally included, it makes it much easier to be financially included. And a lot of the stuff for financial inclusion does have some sort of digital element to it. So just to wrap us up, to sum up, we've got hopefully some of the digital skills. We've talked about some of the digital skills to apply for universal credit, so that filling out forms, and we've had a little look at some of the digital solutions for managing money. So all I wanted to say was that's us really. What I'll be doing is I'm going to switch my microphone off now, but I'll still be here for another couple of minutes. So if you had any questions or anything you wanted to say in the little chat box, pop it in right away. I'm not going to switch off until you've all left anyway. But what I'll be doing with the resource pack that I'm going to be sending out to you is I'll be attaching a little evaluation form in there as well. I'd really love any feedback you've got. It's all totally anonymous, so I won't know who you are. But yeah, any questions you might have, feel free to pop me an email. My email address is on the screen now. I'll be emailing you all out this afternoon anyway, so you will have that, so don't worry about writing it down. Our website is also on that screen, and then we've also got our digital communities shared mailbox there as well if you've got any sort of more generic questions that you might have about managing money and things like that online. But I just wanted to say thank you all so much for listening. It's obviously lots and lots to fit into an hour, and like I said, any other information that I've got for you, I'll pass on. But yeah, thank you ever so much, and I hope you all have a lovely afternoon, and yeah, thank you very much.